Market Report. I'm David Childers, and for the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to talk about the most important things happening in real estate right now. As we start the new year, I'm going to sort of define reality as we kick things off here in just a minute, but also give you a template for what to expect in the coming market. So, I think the best advisors in today's market are creating certainty for their clients. The only way you can create certainty is if you know what is happening. So that's my goal over the next 20 minutes. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and share my screen here and my slides, and we're going to talk about what's happening right now in the real estate market. First quote here from Bill McBride from Calculated Risk. It is possible that rising mortgage rates will slow the housing market, or the Fed might raise rates sooner than expected due to the recent pickup in inflation. But I believe one thing is certain: inventory will tell the tale. And that's probably the most true statement. There's so much speculation in the market right now. What's going to happen with mortgage rates? What's going to happen with the Fed? What's inflation doing? Let's add coronavirus to that and the Omicron stuff. So much out there, people speculating on and its impact in the real estate business, but no doubt we can guarantee inventory will be, the market indicator this year. It's that every year in real estate, but no doubt this year it certainly will be that. As we define reality, here's the reality. The bad news: listings are at record lows. Over the last couple of years, if one thing has been true, it is that low rates, people's definition of home, people's desire to own a home has depleted housing supply all across the country. Number of different reasons for that, number of different reasons for the causes. We've covered those extensively, but the bottom line is listings are at record lows. If we start to look at that, look at the graphic, representation of this is a look at housing inventory year over year. So what Realtor.com does here is they look at where were we at in 2020 in December, and where are we at in 2021 in December. So just a month ago, this is the most recent data. The national average, you see kind of at the middle of the bottom of this slide, almost 27% down year over year. And you can look across the country, Idaho kind of leading the way, so to speak, at 55% down there, but most of the country in this lighter brown color, somewhere between 15 and 30% down, but no doubt a significant lack of inventory across the country. Now, the truth is right now in real estate, we will not be able to reach our market potential because we cannot sell what we don't have. If we had plenty of inventory, probably see more homes sold in this country than ever before by a lot, but we don't have the homes to sell. So if you're working with somebody or talking to somebody and just the frustration of where things are at, this is really the reality across the country. I'm not saying it's not impossible to buy a home or anything is impossible by that, but it defines reality. If we look at this overview going all the way back to 2019, this is a look at months of inventory in residential real estate starting all the way back in January of 2019. So you think about January 2019, we're here 4 months on average, let's call it, in supply, start to dip down in 2020 and spike back up during the lockdown in April and May of 2020, and then sort of depleting since then. The record low of December and January last year of under 2 months supply. And we're right near that as well right now. So, inventory sort of edged lower each year as we've gone through the last several years. That's the bottom line with inventory. We don't have what we need. We can't sell what we don't have. We will not reach the market potential in real estate this year if we don't have the inventory. The question that we get certainly a lot of times, and I think that experts are getting, and what we're seeing is, will sort of this wave of coronavirus affect inventory? Will it affect the real estate business? It could affect people delaying putting their home on the market. I don't think that's a long-term effect by any stretch of the imagination, but I think over the next weeks, maybe in the month of January, it could affect people. I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying it could. Let's talk for a minute about buyer activity. So we talked about sellers, about listings, where we're at there. What's happening with buyers? Just like I talked about with the effect of the pandemic potentially on sellers. One thing I can tell you definitively is it's not pushing buyers back. It's not slowing buyer demand. So the picture that I would paint is lack of inventory, buyers continuing to come into the market. So let's define that. Let's look at that for just a minute. Showing still strong. Headline right here, greater than last November. This is from Showing Time. Ever since the pandemic, we've looked at Showing Time to measure activity. We know on the front end, it's a leading indicator of activity. If people aren't scheduling showings, then those ultimately don't turn into to contracts and ultimately sold deals. But if we look at this past November of 2021 as compared to the last November of 2020, we're ahead in showings, stronger activity than last November. It's very interesting that we see that strong activity continuing to happen from buyers across the country. So, I think this speaks really to maybe those that wonder, okay, where is the health of the real estate market? Is it slowing down? It is not slowing down. Matter of fact, showings still continue to crush pre-pandemic numbers. This is a look at showings over the last 5 Novembers coming from Showing Time. So you see 2017, 2018, 2019. I always call those the last 3 normal years, certainly maybe in the world and if not in real estate. 2020, we see the shoot up there in activity. We know very, very well what that was all about. And certainly 2021, we're seeing even more of that. So activity remaining strong coming into the holiday season that we've just wrapped up. Michael Lane says it best this way, president of Showing Time. Showings traditionally lag during the holiday season, but the data we're seeing tells us that buyer demand remains strong. The fact that every region showed a year-over-year increase indicates that buyers are undeterred, and it speaks to their desire to keep searching for their next home. No doubt buyers out there are in force, many of them motivated by a number of different things right now. It could be the impetus of rising rates and saying we want to do something before they rise. It could be a scenario where they're saying, hey, something's changed in life or in work or in, that's caused different needs. But no doubt the buyers are out there and they're out there in force. And ultimately, we talked a lot about this leading indicator of showings. Those are turning into deals, pending deals. Sales are higher than pre-pandemic numbers as well, off a little bit from 2020. But again, you go back to the normal years there in gray, we see pre-pandemic, the measure of that from NAR. Last year, 2 years ago, 2020, that reading 125.8, 2021, 122.4, just off where we were in 2021. So strong demand out there. That demand is turning into contracts. The market is moving there. We just need more listings. Now, we're a few minutes into this monthly market report, and maybe you're thinking, I already knew that. I knew we didn't have the inventory. I know I've got plenty of buyers. I know they're out there. So what is the opportunity? So many experts are talking about that right now. I think there are a number of opportunities, big opportunities right now. If I'm leading a team or I'm coaching someone that's wondering where is the biggest opportunity, it's right here. It's in home equity by far. Now, what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is I'm going to break down the current situation with home equity, kind of wrapping up this past year, the latest numbers we have in this past year. And so I think this is the opportunity. It may be driving a lot of buyers saying, hey, we've got this equity. Do we harness that and move up? Maybe if we're retiring, move down and downsize and use that sort of to build a little bit of a nest egg with. Number of different things that people are doing with home equity, but no doubt it is there. No doubt people are thinking and actively considering using that home equity to do something different with housing. So biggest opportunity here from the Realtors Confidence and Expo, the lack of insight around home equity presents an opportunity for real estate professionals who are always looking for touch points with past clients. Here in January, I would be talking with every past client, every active client, everyone that I'm doing business with. Do you know how much your home is worth? We've talked about the pair here at on the monthly market report, and do you know how much you owe on your home? Do you know how much your home is worth? That gives you equity. All right. Are there things that you need to do with that equity? Do you have different needs that you need to move up? Do you have different needs you need to downsize? CoreLogic's third quarter home equity report showed that the average homeowner with a mortgage gained in equity $57,000. I could end the equity piece just on that. $57,000 as of the third quarter, the latest numbers we have, the average growth in equity in a home. Now, there's so many people that listen from so many different parts of the country to the monthly market report. If you're on the West Coast or somewhere like that, it's probably a multiple of that number. If you're in the middle of the country, maybe it's that. Maybe it's a little bit more of that depending on where you are. But $57,000 last year, that's a shocking number to so many people that we need to get out there with the folks that are thinking about doing something. 31.1%, that's the year-over-year percentage for increase in equity in the U.S. Homes with mortgages. $3.2 trillion, that's the rise in equity. They go on to say the summer home price growth reached its highest level in more than 45 years, pushing equity gains to another record high. So equity, no doubt, the shining star of the pandemic. This story continues on. We talked about the pandemic in 2020, how equity was allowing people to do things that maybe that were in trouble that they didn't have during the housing crisis. And this continues on, no doubt, today. If we look across the country, this $56,700 in average gain, you see it depending on the state you're in, maybe as high in California as $119,000. Think about that. Somewhere in the middle of the country, $24,000 in gain in the price of a home. A good thing for homeowners. A report came out a couple months ago saying in every major city, listen to this, every major city, it was cheaper to buy a home than to rent when you consider the equity growth right now. Every major city. And so that's something we need to be talking about right now. Rents have been skyrocketing. Certainly, home equity is the benefit of owning a home that many people enjoy. So let's take a look at what Frank Martell, President and CEO of CoreLogic, says about this. Not only have equity gains helped homeowners more seamlessly transition out of forbearance and avoid distress sale, but they've also enabled many to continue building wealth. That's what we were just talking about. The ability to build wealth through equity is one of the greatest benefits of homeownership. We know there's a ton of non-financial benefits of homeownership. We've talked about those extensively, how home has grown in many people's hearts and minds as we've gone through the pandemic. But no doubt, the financial benefit of building wealth is a huge opportunity in home ownership. Going to this, Odetta Cushy, she goes on to say U.S. households own $36.8 trillion in owner-occupied real estate, $11.5 trillion in debt, and the remaining $25 trillion in equity. In inflated adjusted terms, homeowners had an average of $294,000 in equity in Q3 2021, a historic high. It's unreal. The story on equity right now across the country in real estate is unreal. According to Odetta Cushy here, the average homeowner of $294,000 in equity. Now, it's going to be different in different parts of the country. I'm not debating that. But no doubt the biggest opportunity we have is to connect homeowners with the equity they have, define that for them, and be there for them to help them make wise decisions. And certainly many are wondering, okay, should we now do something? I talked last month in the monthly market report, you can go back and get it if you didn't see it, about the pent-up selling demand that we believe that is out there based on tenure and what we've seen over the last 10 years. I do believe that's there. I do believe a lot of people are considering selling their home. They want to do that safely. They want to do that in the right timing. And it's our jobs to be the educators. I think the one thought that we started off here with is the ability to create certainty. And doing that, you can help homeowners create certainty about what's the next best step for them. Going to our last portion here in the monthly market report for January, what to expect for this year's real estate market. Uncertainty right now, I think, kills deals. Certainty helps you move forward. Two things that are important about certainty: having the certainty, being educated, and getting the message out. So my goal is to give you these resources to help you get the message out. On Facebook and other places, LinkedIn, wherever it's at, so many of you put this message out there, and it's so encouraging and so neat to see that as you are being the educator and creating certainty in the minds of buyers and sellers across the country. So let's start off with that. First of all, what to expect on mortgage rate projections. You can see here from Fannie, Freddie, NAR, MBA, what are they saying about 2022 broken down by quarter, Q1, 2, 3, 4, the average there. I'm not here to tell you this is where interest rates are going to be. I believe that's a fool's game. I'm going to always look at what the experts are saying, and I'm going to give you an expert opinion on this. What are they saying right now? Somewhere between 3.5% and 4% in the second half of the year. We're seeing volatility even this week, seeing rates jump up. I just saw the average 30-year fixed 3.2%. That's going to go up and down, but I do believe we're in an upward trend. I talked about this several weeks or several months ago. I think we're going back to where we were. Last 10 years, we've been between 3 and 5% in the average 30-year fixed. Still great financing, great financing for a home, but that's what you can expect. That's how you can create certainty in the minds of your buyers as what they should expect as they go into in the process of purchasing a home. Forbearances, they've finally fallen below 1 million. This going into this year, I believe, is going to be a non-issue, a non-message. I don't think you're going to hear much about it, but I want to educate you on it. Just under 1 million, about 890,000 mortgages actively in forbearance. That represents about 1.6% of active mortgages. We've covered this extensively on what's happening to those that are coming out of forbearance. If you remember the circle graph that we used many times, I can tell you those numbers are still in those parameters. I didn't bring them today, but 4 out of 5 that are coming out of forbearance are coming out either having gone through a workout or paying off their back payments. There are people that still will need to do something. It's a very small fraction. And oh, by the way, what we just talked about, their homes have appreciated on average in $57,000 in the last year. So they have opportunities. I still think we need to talk about this. I think we need to be available for folks that may need it. But this going into 2022 will be a non-issue. And I believe something that we continue to hear less and less about. Mary Claire Bolton Smith from CoreLogic says this: we may see a little bit of an uptick in the foreclosure rate in 2022. Just an uptick, though, from an extraordinary low level. We're not expecting to see big increases. Listen to this. We expect delinquency rates overall on home mortgages to actually continue to remain quite low. What's going to happen with foreclosures this year? According to CoreLogic, remain quite low. That's a line you can use a lot of places. I think they're going to be quite low. It's what CoreLogic said. I think we're going to see that, again, be a non-issue because there are options for homeowners. I don't see banks being in a posture trying to foreclose on people. I think they're trying to work whatever out they can, and the numbers just aren't there like the last housing crisis. And that's largely due to the hard work of every one of you on this call that's been the educator and been the resource for those that have needed to do something. The other question is what's going to happen with prices. We've talked a lot about pricing over the past several months and the fact that, we've seen unbelievable pricing in this country. And this question sort of that, pricing is peaked, we put on the table. And I'm using this graphic here to show you FHA, CoreLogic, Case-Shiller. This is a look going back to January of 2021 all the way through October and November of last year of pricing. So let me break this down for you because the title here is, has home price acceleration peaked? The question right now. So Start out in January. The funny thing about this graphic is we're starting out at 10%. We're starting out at historical high appreciation, and we're year they look at January 2021 as compared to January 2020. What did prices grow by? And we know in 2020 they grew by about 10%. And then each month that goes on, they record those for the other month. Now, we said prices appear to look like they've peaked, and they do, but here's the question. Have they peaked or have they plateaued? I sort of want to put that question on the table because that's what folks are looking at right now and saying, okay, what is happening with prices? And experts are wondering this as well. Let me be very, very clear about that. But no doubt, I think there has been a peak, but is it a plateau that we're about to see? I'll tell you this, what I don't think is going to happen, I don't think we're going to see prices or appreciation drop from 18 or 19% down to 5%. Now, I'm going to show you what forecasters are saying in just a minute. The average is about 5%, but I don't think you're going to go from 18% appreciation to 5% appreciation overnight or in a year. But no doubt, appreciation is still very, very strong in the market. We expect appreciation to continue in 2022. If you look at those that are forecasting appreciation right now for 2022, the average 5.2%, I just mentioned that, anywhere from 7.5 to 2.8. Here's one thing I see about forecasters right now. They're already starting to up-level their forecast. I think this average here of 5.2 is low. I think we will go above that. How much above that? Certainly don't know. It's anyone's guess, but I think we're going to see more than 5% appreciation in real estate in 2022. But you can be the educator. You can show this perspective to your clients. You can show this perspective to those that you're talking with. And always remember, as appreciation goes down in this graphic, that's not depreciation. It's less appreciation. And always remember, month over month, year over year, appreciation is cumulative. We want to explain that very, very well, because in the graphic, people can miss that. They can go, I missed the hump. No, you didn't miss it. You didn't miss anything. We're just seeing less appreciation than what we saw last year. You know, the word that's often used in this is deceleration in appreciation, which means it's coming at a slower rate. Think about a car going down the road, decelerating, still moving very fast, just not as fast as you were moments ago. Average from forecasters, 5.2%. You know, I think as we look at interest rates, we look at forbearances, we look at prices, we look at all the things happening. The bottom line, again, from CoreLogic. So overall, I do think that 2022 will be another strong year for housing, albeit a little bit higher mortgage rates. And we do think home sales will continue to rise and actually reach a 16-year high in 2022. So no doubt across the country, we're seeing a lot of things happen in real estate. We need more inventory. Buyers are in full force. But overall, it looks like a very, very good real estate market coming up in 2022. You know, as I stop sharing my screen here, I just want to wrap up our time and wish you a happy new year. Wish you a great 2022. We are grateful for your support. And you're taking the time to watch the monthly market report, to be the educator.